Did we hurt your feelings? I'm so sorry if we did.
Some pretty major actors missed out on voicing these Disney roles, whether the production went in a different direction or the performer backed out. Years before Brave actually went into production, Reese Witherspoon had been attached and set to play Merida. The actress was extremely excited about it, and the team was looking forward to having her talent on board. However, she didn't quite fit the bill because of one pretty key issue. With the film being set in Scotland, Witherspoon needed to whip out a solid Scottish accent, but once she realized what she sounded like, she knew she couldn't do it justice and stepped down from the job.
I tried to do a Scottish accent once.
Really?
It was bad. I had to quit the movie.
Oh, you did?
That's when Kelly Macdonald got brought into the movie, and since she really is Scottish, the accent wasn't an issue.
I am Merida, firstborn descendant of Clan Dunbroch.
Fairly early on in the development process, the creative team behind Tangled wanted to experiment with a quirkier, less typical Disney princess in Rapunzel. And that's when Amy Poehler's name was thrown into the ring and she was seriously being considered. The competition was stiff with an impressive array of actresses auditioning, including Reese Witherspoon, Natalie Portman, but ultimately,
what if it's not everything I dreamed it would be?
It was Mandy Moore who brought the frying pan wielding Rapunzel to life.
It's because I've been dreaming about them my entire life!
We've all known Buzz Lightyear to be voiced by Tim Allen.
No, go, just go, I'll catch up.
But he originally nearly had the voice of two other pretty big names, Jim Carrey and Billy Crystal. Crystal didn't actually audition, getting a straight offer from the team, but he turned it down, and unsurprisingly, it remains a major career regret for him. When Carrey actually did go through the audition process, he was a frontrunner, but once the team heard Allen, they found their Buzz. That is until Chris Evans came along for the prequel.
A special guy.
While Anika Noni Rose brought an incredible performance to life playing Tiana in The Princess and the Frog, another singer had been considered before Rose booked the gig. Alicia Keys actually auditioned 3 times, making it very far in the process. But she wasn't the only major name in the mix. We're talking the likes of Jennifer Hudson, Tyra Banks. Evidently, the actresses being auditioned were nothing short of fierce.
Maybe next time.
Among the many incredible performers considered to play Princess Tiana was none other than the Queen herself, Beyonce. The singer was very interested in playing the part and had even been in contact with Disney, but she didn't want to have to audition for the part, so Disney refused to offer it to her. While it was a miss for Tiana, luckily we got to hear her as Nala in the live-action Lion King a few years later.
Simba, we need to leave.
Before she landed her role as Anna in Frozen, Kristen Bell was up to play Rapunzel in Tangled. Even though that gig didn't work out, the process was well worth it since it helped in securing her role in Frozen down the line.
2 sisters, 1 mind.
After giving an incredible read for Rapunzel, the casting director was impressed and made sure Belle got to meet Chris Buck, who was set to direct a future Disney film that Belle was perfect for. You know the one. Kristen wasn't the only Frozen star that auditioned to play Rapunzel, though. Idina Menzel, aka Elsa, was also being considered for Tangled.
Okay, well, what do you want to do?
Somewhere out there is a version of Finding Nemo, with the Marlin voiced by none other than William H. Macy. The actor not only auditioned for the role, but he booked the job and actually went on to record an entire cut of the film. While he gave loads of time and effort to the project, ultimately, the feedback from the first watchers from Disney wasn't so great, and a major change had to be made. Unfortunately for Macy, this meant his voice was cut from the film and all the dialogue was redone by Albert Brooks.
They're natural predators.
Bill Murray's rejection from Monsters, Inc. wasn't due to any lack of talent, but a wild instance of miscommunication. Pete Docter was a huge fan of his audition, and even went so far as to try to reach Murray to talk to him about doing the movie. For whatever reason, at the time, the actor was relying on a 1-800 number and an answering machine instead of an agent or manager, making reaching the performer extremely difficult. The team just assumed that maybe he wasn't interested anymore, and unfortunately, that was that.
Oh yeah, crazy.
The role of Hades in Hercules was actually originally written with Jack Nicholson's voice in mind, early concept art even being inspired by his actual looks. The actor was game to take on the role. That is, however, until the money talk began. Nicholson was expecting a bigger paycheck that was more in line with what he'd been making doing major roles by this point. Disney is huge, and certainly not strapped for cash, but they wouldn't pay up, so Nicholson parted ways with the project. James Woods stepped in at the last minute, but managed to bring a stellar performance as the fast-talking, fun lord of the dead.
Ladies, I am so sorry that I'm late.
Before he rose to fame as the stellar comedic actor we all know him to be, Jim Carrey had auditioned to play Prince Eric in The Little Mermaid in the late 80s. This was so early on in his career that Carrey was still pretty unknown, so this audition to play a leading Disney prince was a huge deal. Christopher Daniel Barnes wound up snagging the job, and shortly after, Carrey's career blew up after starring in Living Color. It's pretty hard to imagine anyone else but Robin Williams voicing the legendary Genie in Aladdin.
Just be yourself.
No shade to Will Smith, who brought an amazing performance, but Williams is the Genie we all grew up with. That being said, multiple other comedians were being considered. John Goodman, John Candy, Eddie Murphy, Steve Martin, and even Martin Short. All of them had done readings of the material and were likely candidates. What earned Williams the job was a stand-up routine he did, seen by the Disney team, and after that, all bets were off.
I never did it. I am not at fault.
Before Scott Weinger took on the role of Aladdin, the part was meant for Michael J. Fox. Aladdin was even originally designed to look like him. Once the team decided to go with Weinger on the job, adjustments were made to how Aladdin looked, and instead of making him appear like the actor, they went with a Tom Cruise vibe. Nathan Lane gave an epic performance as Timon in The Lion King, but before that casting was settled, he was being considered for a much smaller role, one of the hyenas. After hearing multiple actors audition, Lane was given a character upgrade and booked to play the cheeky meerkat. Whoopi Goldberg and Cheech Marin ended up voicing the hyenas instead.
Bonsai, what have we got here? I don't know, Shenzi. What do you think, Ed?
Lily Tomlin auditioned for the role, she booked the role, but then she lost it. The actress was originally slated to play Edna Mode in The Incredibles, but during a read-through, Brad Bird had filled in for the actress who wasn't available at the time. Once the team heard how hilarious his read was, they changed their minds and Tomlin was dropped from the project. This one probably stung pretty badly.
To impress, you must express.
Eddie Murphy gave a memorable performance as Mushu in Mulan, but the character actually began as a different animal. Before Mushu was a dragon, he was actually a two-headed serpent named Yin and Yang. Not only did it have two names and two heads, it also had two different actors voicing it. Joe Pesci and Richard Dreyfuss were meant to give life to the snake, but once they settled on one voice and a one-headed dragon, Pesci wasn't quite the right match. The actor was brought in and recorded some dialogue, but the casting wasn't as solid as when he played one half of Yin and Yang.
Okay, let's get this show on the road! Tricky, get the bags!
These characters in films could have been very different, but ultimately, the actors who did voice these roles gave amazing performances. However, we're definitely curious to hear some of those audition tapes, or even the entire Finding Nemo film with William H. Macy as Marlin.